people don't even realize. Trees improve water catchment areas, trees prevent soil erosion, trees actually take carbon out of the atmosphere and help in decarbonizing the world. Trees provide homes to reptiles, to birds, to animals, and provide flower, fruit, fodder, forest produce, and shade to human beings. Yet today we sadly find that our forests are being destroyed and that deforestation and global warming has reached epic proportions. All of you all know about global warming, so I won't spend too much time talking to you all about it. But I just have 3 very important facts about global warming that I will share with you. I'm going to read these out aloud with you just to emphasize the importance of these points. Deforestation is contributing almost 20% to the overall greenhouse gas emissions, more than the world's vehicles and airplanes combined. An area of rainforest the size of a football field is being destroyed every second. Net forest loss per day is 20,000 hectares, an area twice the size of the city of Paris. So just take a minute and reflect on these statistics and just reflect how we are destroying our forests and destroying our natural resources. If you look at a comparative satellite map of the world, even in the last few decades, you'll see how extensive this loss has been, especially in areas like the Amazon and the forests of Central Africa. Global warming is leading to sea levels rising because of the melting of icebergs in the polar regions. This will eventually inundate and flood our coastal cities like Kakinada. What answer are we going to give to our grandchildren why sea levels are so high and why so many species of animals and birds and animals are now extinct, and that we have to show them pictures of them and they can't actually see live animals? So why is this happening? What are the main reasons behind deforestation? Firstly, trees have no voice or no rights. Trees can't protest. You never see a morcha being led by trees. Protests can only be done by human beings, which is why trees are ignored. It's difficult, it's expensive to protect forests, and people value short-term gains more than long-term benefits. So people chop down trees for the wood they'll get today or for the benefit for selling that land, but they don't think of the long-term implications of destroying that set of forests or the damage they're doing to the ecosystem and the biodiversity of the area. It's also surprisingly difficult to plant trees. I've done a lot of research into what it takes to plant trees, and you'll find that getting permissions to plant trees is also a laborious and time-consuming process. It also takes someone a lot of effort to actually plant a tree. You have to get a sapling, you have to find a place to plant trees, you have to dig a pit, you have to take the sapling there, you have to plant it, you have to look after it initially if it's not hardy enough to sustain itself. You have to get cooperation from people living in the area to ensure that no one will damage the tree, no one will graze their cattle in that area, and that nothing will happen to the tree. So it's quite a difficult process. So I'm going to ask everyone in the audience a simple question. By show of hands, can people tell me how many people like trees? Just by a show of hands. So pretty much everybody. That's great to know. And how many people can say they plant trees regularly themselves? Good, there are quite a few people here. But there are far more people who like trees than there are people who are able to plant trees, because planting trees is difficult. So I had this problem in mind. I thought there are so many people who want to do something to plant trees, but they can't. They don't have an avenue. So I thought and came up with a solution. So I thought I'd develop a web-based initiative, a website, where you can actually plant trees with a few clicks. So based on that, Grow-Trees was formed. So just to talk about Grow Trees in a nutshell, Grow-Trees.com is a website where any person can plant trees on public and community lands for just 50 rupees a tree, just $1 a tree, 50 rupees, and actually plant trees across the country. All it takes is a few clicks, so it's a very simple process. So when I was launching Grow Trees, I had 2 important issues that I needed to take care of. One was developing a system to actually plant trees. And the second was ensuring that people actually came to this website and planted trees. Because if I had systems to plant trees, but no one was coming here and planting trees, then it would be worthless. The trees wouldn't actually get planted. So I'm going to go over both those systems now. So to actually plant trees, I developed processes by tying up with reliable organizations across the country. I identified organizations across India that have a track record of planting trees and identified systems by which I could work with them. Like I said earlier, trees were only planted on public and community land because the philosophy of growtrees.com was to benefit society at large. I didn't want to benefit any particular property owners by increasing the value of their property, or any rich farmers by giving them some more crops, but I wanted to benefit society at large. So planting was only done on public and community land. Then I tied the planting of trees to three major purposes. The first was trees for forests and wildlife. So these are projects where trees are planted on the periphery of tiger reserves or wildlife sanctuaries. The second is trees for rural communities. These projects are primarily designed to benefit poor rural communities by planting trees on their common lands. And the third is trees for holy environments, where trees are planted adjoining places of worship. This was done because people are very passionate about their places of worship, so they're planting trees around them. It gives people a direct opportunity to do something for their religion and for something that they care about. I've found in my experience that the optimal size for planting a sapling is about a 6-month-old sapling, or about a sapling that's 2 feet high. Because at this age, saplings are quite hardy and can exist in the wild without any support. So what I do is I have systems where nurseries are on site. It's very important that they are on site to reduce transportation costs and reduce damage for 6 months, and then are planted in the monsoon. So typically nurseries are set up in December, and by June or July or sometime in the monsoons, the trees are actually planted. I also wanted the labor of planting to be done by communities in the area. Communities in the area where I chose to plant trees are typically living below the poverty line. As we just had a very informative presentation before me, that people below the poverty line have a lack of opportunity and a lack of resources. So by giving them an opportunity to plant trees and paying them for their labor, it was a source of employment for them. Another problem that I talked about was that grazing destroys saplings. One of the biggest mortality causes of saplings today in India is that they're destroyed by cattle, by grazing livestock. So we have a system where we build stone walls around planting sites where necessary to keep out grazing animals. But this is of course done in total cooperation with the community living in the area, so they're not inconvenienced in any way. So if stone walls are built, then they have another area where their cattle can graze. It is also very important to plant only local or indigenous trees that are endemic to that area. Planting fast-growing imported trees like eucalyptus can actually damage the ecosystem and the biodiversity. The reason being birds, animals, reptiles are not used to seeing these trees exist, so they are alien to them, so they don't use them. They also have damaging repercussions on other species of trees who can't often coexist with trees that are alien to those climatic conditions. So I take great care to plant 12 to 20 different species of trees in all projects. These species are all local trees, such as, to give you a few examples, the mango tree, the custard apple, the amla, the jungle jalebi, the mahogany tree, the kher, the kala siris. So several species like this. The resources from the trees, once the trees have grown and attained a decent height, are shared up equitably among the communities. So from trees you get fruit, you get fodder that grows under the trees, you get forest produce, non-timber forest produce. We've done surveys. We have a project in the Panchmahal district of Gujarat, and 40% of the average villager's disposable income is spent on average procuring cooking fuel. By planting trees from branches and twigs that have fallen down and from biomass, the average villager can save up to 40% of his disposable income by substituting these products for cooking fuel. So this is an enormous cash saving. I also put up pictures of the planting on my website and on social media, because people at the end of the day who are planting trees want to see. There has to be a connect with the people. Otherwise people may not come if they can't see that tree, because you're not giving someone a tangible good. You're telling them plant a tree. But the only way they can really see their trees and see products is through pictures. So several pictures are put on the website and on social media. And the last step I've taken for credibility is to have an independent audit done to verify that the planting has been done. So for example, if a project has 50,000 trees, then an auditor will go to the site and verify that 50,000 trees have indeed been planted. These are third-party reputable auditors, and their conclusion is put on the website in the public domain. So I've taken great care to ensure that the system for planting trees is as credible, as reliable, and as transparent as possible. So after establishing the system, I went to a few international organizations and I made a proposal to them and said, this is what I do and I really need your support to take this forward. So I made a proposal to the United Nations Environment Programme, and following my proposal, they recognized grow-trees.com as an official tree planting partner of the UNEP's Billion Tree Campaign. And we're the only organization in India today to have that recognition. Similarly, I made a similar pitch to WWF and said that this is an opportunity for them to get their supporters to actively engage in planting trees. So they too said they want to be an official partner and made Grow Trees an official partner of their Cities for Forests campaign. I'm going to talk to everyone a bit now about the projects and run you through the projects and some of their benefits. So Grow Trees has 10 projects across the country. We've tried to geographically spread the projects across the length and breadth of the country. So we have projects in the south, in the west, in the east, in the north, and in the center. And so far we have projects in 6 states, but we eventually hope to expand the number of states that we have projects. One of our first projects is a 50,000 mangrove project adjoining the famous Rukshmani temple in Dwarka in Gujarat. Mangroves are highly beneficial for several reasons. They prevent the spread of salinity inwards. They also are important breeding grounds for fishing stock. In areas where mangroves have been destroyed or damaged, fishing communities' income has plummeted drastically because mangroves are so important for fish to spawn. There was a cyclone in eastern India in '96 that caused a lot of damage. But one reason why Kakinada escaped largely was because of the Koringa mangrove forest. So mangroves really protect the coast from tidal waves, from cyclones. One reason why the toll in the tsunami that hit South India a few years ago was higher than it should have been, that could have been prevented, was because of the indiscriminate felling of mangroves. So if there had been mangroves, then tsunami toll would have been much less. So mangroves really do save lives when it comes to natural disasters. Another project is a 100,000 tree project in the periphery of the Kumbhalgarh sanctuary in Rajasthan. The Kumbhalgarh sanctuary has several animals like leopards, several species of deers or wolves, and it serves as an ecotone to prevent the desertification of this area. 2 projects for rural communities, including one in Andhra Pradesh, are projects in Madanapalli and Chintamani. These projects involve the planting of trees on the common land of villages so that the villagers really benefit from planting trees when the trees give resources. We also try to have projects in areas where a large percentage of people live below the poverty line and a large percentage of people belong to deprived and traditionally marginalized sections of society. It's worth noting that a lot of these villages don't even have electricity yet. It seems strange, but a lot of these villages aren't connected to the electricity grid. So opportunities for jobs are very limited. Without electricity, there are no factories that can be set up. Without electricity, entrepreneurship opportunities are very limited. So what people do is they depend on sustenance agriculture, or they have to make a living from the forests. So trees are really crucial for supporting the livelihoods of people in these areas. Moving on to a project in a tiger reserve in the periphery of the Sariska Tiger Reserve, we have a 50,000 tree project. There are common lands in these tiger reserves that are called orans. And by planting trees in these areas, we try to prevent man-animal conflict. Sariska has been in the news recently because of the unfortunate poaching of tigers. It was very widely covered that the whole tiger population from Sariska had been completely wiped out by indiscriminate poaching. So by planting trees in the villages in the periphery of the sanctuary, we aim to prevent man-animal conflict and also extend the sanctuary. All sanctuaries in India were much larger than they are today. They've all been encroached upon from all directions. And while the core area in a lot of sanctuaries is still pristine, the periphery is much degraded. We also have a 50,000 tree project in Koraput in Orissa. Koraput is today unfortunately known as one of the hubs of Naxalism in India. And the reason for Naxalism being that people from these sections do not have any opportunities. They don't see the benefits of the economic boom that the rest of the country is seeing. So we're trying to change that by planting trees. Koraput was also infamously known for having starvation deaths in India. It was one of the places that was widely covered in the 70s and 80s with gruesome pictures of people actually starving to death. So it's one of the most poor and underdeveloped parts of the country today. We have two more projects in tiger reserves, one being in the periphery of Kanha National Park in Madhya Pradesh. Kanha National Park is one of India's most famous tiger reserves. We also have a project in Satkosya Gorge Wildlife Sanctuary in Orissa. This is a few hours away from Bhubaneswar in central Orissa in the Angul district. Two completed projects include one in the Panchmahal district of Gujarat and one in the Udaipur district of Gujarat. The Udaipur project planted 29,990 trees and the project in Gujarat planted 19,000 trees. I'm going to run you through pictures just to show you how the process is done. So as I was explaining, saplings are in nurseries for several months before they're planted. So these are saplings that are about 2 feet high in a nursery in Chintamani in Karnataka just before they are to be planted. These are some more pictures of saplings that are carried to the planting site in anticipation of being planted. This is a picture from the periphery of Kumbhalgarh Sanctuary in Rajasthan. This is pit digging. So pits are dug in planting areas right before the monsoon starts, a few weeks or a month before planting. The labor is, as explained earlier, done by communities. And then when planting is done, the saplings are transported to the pits that have been dug and are planted there. This is another picture of pit digging in the periphery of the Kumbhalgarh Sanctuary in Rajasthan. And this is a sapling that has been planted. So you can see that the whole community is involved in the process. Another planted sapling. Another planted sapling. This is a sapling that has grown. And eventually the goal is to make saplings grow from saplings to big trees. So moving on to the second part of grow trees, I've explained how the planting happens on the ground. But equally important is how to get people to plant. Now grow trees was designed not to just have people plant trees to do social good, but we wanted people to actually satisfy a private purpose by planting trees. And the private purpose being through a certificate that can be given out to various recipients. So there's several reasons why you can plant trees, and these are just some of them. You can plant trees for birthdays, you can plant trees for anniversaries, you can plant trees for festivals, you can plant trees for the birth of a child, you can plant trees for the graduation of a student. So there are several reasons why you can plant trees. So grow trees is conceptualized as an environmentally positive substitute to a conventional greeting card. You can use grow trees as a substitute for a conventional greeting card because grow trees allows you to give a certificate to someone. How many of you all use Archie's cards or Hallmark cards or other such cards for various festivals like Diwali's or birthdays? Just by a show of hands, do people use that? So quite a few people. So what I'm doing is from grow trees, you can gift trees to people and honor them with a certificate. And it has several advantages because you just can do it from your computer. There's no need to go to a store, actually buy a card, actually give it to the person, and you can gift out several certificates at once. So for a festival, you can have a list of all the people you want to honor and just with one button gift them all out. And you can also personalize the certificates with your logo, with the picture, to give that personal touch to really make it as engaging as possible. Also, you can gift trees on future dates. That you can have trees sent out on birthdays throughout the year. You don't have to remember someone's birthday. You just input it, and automatically will be sent to the person on the designated date. So individuals are one important set of users who use grow trees, but we also wanted to tap the corporate market, get corporates to plant trees. So initially we approached corporates and we said, look, you can plant trees through growtrees.com and it's a direct way for you to make a difference and do this through your CSR. But the response we got from a lot of corporates is, we have 100 CSR projects and why should we choose you? So it was a challenge that corporates weren't giving us the response that we wanted. So what we did was we adapted very quickly. We realized that, okay, the CSR route to reach corporates is may or may not work, but what we can do is we can allow them to satisfy a private purpose. So we came up with a host of different reasons why corporates can plant trees. These are some of the reasons. Corporates can plant trees for employee birthdays, plant trees to complement the launch of a green product, plant trees for customers that switch to electronic statements, plant trees for every new customer or to reward loyal customers, and send each customer a co-branded certificate. So it really is a nice and direct way of reaching out to your customers. And we tried this approach, and I developed a small team, and we went and we talked to as many corporates as we could find. We went and directly met and phoned and interacted with several hundred corporates. And we've got a great response from corporates. So these are some of the corporates that have currently signed up and are planting trees to growtrees.com. This is just a short list, but overall it's a much bigger number of corporates even. So currently GrowTrees has planted over 243,000 trees across the country in 18 months of operations. We have over thousands of individuals and over 70 companies who are planting trees through GrowTrees, and also over 20 press articles. We've got quite a bit of press coverage. But our vision doesn't stop here. Our goal is to plant millions of trees a year and make GrowTrees go global. More than that, what we personally want to do is to create a change in attitude among people. That GrowTrees is just one forum from which you can plant trees. But I'm not saying that to plant trees you have to use GrowTrees. I'm just saying it's one way. But I'd be very happy if you plant trees yourselves. But an attitude has to change among the people of this country if we are to really green this country. Then why not plant trees to celebrate occasions? Why not plant a tree for the birth of a child? Why not plant trees for the graduation of a student? Why not plant trees for every purpose? To congratulate someone for moving into a new home, to congratulate someone for getting married, to celebrate something. You can celebrate all these occasions by planting trees. And you can plant trees in your garden, you can plant trees wherever you want. As long as you're doing something directly and making a difference, that is what matters. So personally, I really have a dream of taking GrowTrees to the next level and really planting millions of trees a year, because only at that level will I feel some sort of satisfaction that I feel that I've been able to make a difference to this country and to the world. And I thank you all for your support and for your presence here today, and together we can really make a difference and green the world. Thank you.